Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Show, number 73. Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast. My name is Eric Vogel. I'm a real estate investor, mastermind coach, husband to an amazing woman, and often my co-host, Tiffany, and father to two incredible boys. I'm on a mission to help you become a real estate investor and not only achieve seven-figure success like my wife and I did, but to do so with intention, direction, and clarity. If you want to transform your financial and personal goals, become the version of yourself you've always wanted, and reach your dream life ASAP, then you're in the right place. Thank you for deciding to hit that play button today. Now let's begin. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the On Purpose Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Eric, with my amazing, beautiful, lovely, and might I mention, good-looking wife and co-host,
Tiffany.
You're always excited for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we are diving into the changing landscape of our lives. And where are we shifting? Why are we shifting? Where are we headed? I know 2 episodes ago, I did a reflections episode where I dove in and talked about what's really going on in our personal life and how are we, evolving and becoming better us. This episode, we're going to kind of dive into what are we doing in our business, what is shifting there, and why are we going in that direction. So first off, our question is, why did we shift?
Yeah. I think I want to backtrack and say, why have we not recorded a podcast episode together for, I don't even know how long.
It has been a minute.
And it's really just focusing on our family, trying to figure out our next phase. Like, what are we doing? What do we want to do? And that kind of goes into why did we shift and just the changes in our individual visions of what we want.
Yeah. So my individual vision has shifted in many ways. I don't know. I chase squirrels so much, but I haven't been doing that so much lately. I guess I've been doing a lot of inner work that has been taking me away from doing business work, trying to figure out who I am, what I'm meant to do, why am I here, my purpose, how can I be a better father, how can I be a better husband, and those are things that I've been really cracking down on and trying to figure out.
Yeah,
and that has created this big shift in my in my personal life of, okay, I'm shifting and I've got to take action on the manifestations of what I see in my future and who I want to be.
Right. I think we are more aware of things happening for us in our life and business. And I think it all really came about for me as we're shifting into a new income situation with these cabins in Helen. Right. The properties, we did a 1031 exchange. So the properties that we sold, losing that cash flow to gain what we're gaining was a significant change.
Right.
So our income's at a point where we have more than enough once these cabins are up and running. So I think it's led to a lot of soul searching of, what do I want to do? What do you want to do with your time?
Right.
We have our au pair, like a lot of things have aligned so that come probably January, February, maybe even June, by the time we get everything up and running and in a good spot. So in 7 months, 6 months, we're going to be in a spot where we have the time to do what we want when we want. And we're not the kind of people that just want to sit around watching TV all the time. Well, you might, but I'm not.
Well, I mean, we've shifted a lot in our personal house to reflect the direction we're going.
Right.
We went into this nutrition system so that in 20, 30, 40 years, all this time that we have on our hands, we're not just going out to lunches and eating whatever.
Right.
While we're networking. We're not, going to a bunch of parties and drinking with all of our time. Yeah. We're not doing, we're trying so that, I say that so that our bodies are well equipped to handle our older age.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back and hike the Grand Canyon again. Yeah. I want to go do an Everest base camp hike. That's 3 weeks long is what we figured out.
Yeah.
And where I was health-wise a year ago, well, I was 3 months postpartum, so definitely not ready to go do all that then. But I was not on a trajectory to be able to do that.
Right.
And I knew that's something I wanted Not necessarily now, but in 10 years when our kids are a little bit older and could go spend 3 weeks with grandparents, yeah, that's absolutely something I want to do.
But those are things you have to scaffold starting now.
Right.
You have to back into big trips like the Everest Base Camp many years in advance.
Right.
Because you can't just in January say, I'm hiking Everest this year, and in March go.
Right.
Or in April go.
And I know the food we were putting in our bodies and the caffeine and just all the different toxins we were ingesting was not setting me up to reach my overall life goals.
Right.
And I want to find energy from within myself, not from a substance. And I want to find relaxation from my own self, not from a glass of wine. So it's really, all of these shifts are happening in a way that's setting us up so that we're ready to run a race that we have been working towards for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah. And a lot of our episodes, we talk about climbing a ladder on top of a specific building, and with intention and with clarity, and going through Dream Life University, the students there, and even myself included, I gained a lot more clarity on, am I climbing the right ladder? And when I get up there, am I going to be proud of where I am?
Right.
But now there's this extra component of, I don't want to just be proud of the building I'm standing on and be satisfied and love the people I'm with. I also want to be healthy while I'm there.
Right.
I want to get up there and be able to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
If I want to jump off the building with a parachute,
yeah,
I could do that. I wouldn't jump off just jump off.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, if I want to go skydiving, I can go skydiving.
Right.
Because I'll have the stamina to do so.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going with this, is that we're gaining more clarity on what does 50 or 60-year-old Eric and Tiffany look like? What do they eat? What kind of energy do they have?
Right.
We've got family in their 60s and 70s that are declining rapidly in their health. I've lost 2 aunts and an uncle in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
That were in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
From poor health.
Right.
And you just go back and look and say, could it have been prevented?
Right.
I think a lack of education was the biggest point.
Right.
People don't know what's in their food. People don't know what's in their meat or what they drink. They don't know that it's hurting them.
Yeah. And I think we as a society get in this loop of, we're tired because we're overstressed. So we watch TV, we ingest foods that make us more tired, and it creates this cycle of bad habits, really.
Yeah.
And for us, like, if you think about the wheel of life, we took the finance area off as a target by having this passive income. So now we're able to focus on other areas and not have to worry about that and take that stress off. And our plan is now, with this program we're in right now, we're going to take the health card off.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about our health, because we're fueling our body with the right things so that health is not as much of an issue. Obviously, we can't predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we know diet and exercise is key to having good, long health.
Yeah. So many people are very unwilling to sacrifice the foods that they eat. And it's hard. It is so hard. I had a Monster energy drink probably every day, if not every other day, for the better part of like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And I loved them. But also, what's in that? I always knew that there was bad stuff in it. I was like, yeah, I know this is bad for me, but I like it.
Right.
And I'm just going to drink it. But the stuff that's in there was slowly causing my kidneys to shut down.
Right.
And, filling my body up with toxins that give me, although the caffeine gives you a boost, all the damage that it's doing to your kidneys and your liver, it just causes more and more, grogginess.
I think the way I looked at it for me was, oh, that Diet Coke is not that bad. I'm not doing cocaine. There's not cocaine in Coke anymore. But,
right.
I don't want the average life, though. I don't want the life of someone that does cocaine. So you really, if you're comparing your vices to somebody else's, make sure you're comparing it to the person you want to be,
not
the people around you.
Yeah. And that brings up the other point of like reading our blood panels.
Oh gosh.
And it's like they give the average blood panel reading.
Standard.
The standard, which the standard is just like
the average of most people.
The average of most people. Not healthy, not unhealthy, but just the average. It's like, I don't want to just be the average of most people.
Right.
I want to be the average of healthy people.
Right.
And that's what I want to be.
It all comes down to education. And that's why we were willing to pay for a program to educate us on why. Don't just tell me to eat vegetables. Tell me why.
Right.
And
I hate vegetables.
We've learned a lot on really why we should eat more vegetables, less meat, and animal products and things like that. And I think it really ties to why we have this podcast. Because to reach your goals, you have to change your identity and who you are and who you want to be. That's where it starts. And to really know where you want to be, you have to see people who have done it before you. So seeing us achieve financial freedom helps people to say, that's something I want to. And I hope we can be positive role models and help educate people on that first identity shift, but then the next step of the actual execution of what they need to do to really embody the person they want to be. Right.
I was having a conversation with a friend today, and he said, you know, the bigger pocket stuff, the John Schaub stuff, the Chad Carson stuff, it's all great material. It all really is good material. But you're hearing from people on those podcasts that are in it for a decade, that are on third base heading to home plate, not people that are, you know, strapping up equipment in the dugout, getting ready to go up to bat. And that's your beginners. And you're definitely not speaking to those that are in the parking lot, just trying to get into the dugout to even get started. And he said, what's relatable about us is that we're on first base and we're heading to second.
Yeah.
You know, it took us a long time to get out of the dugout. It took us a long time to hit a ball and to get onto first base. And we're on first base comfortably, but now we're heading to second.
Right.
And that is essentially, you know, from the beginner to the wealth builder, and then wealth builder to, I think there should be another stage of this where it's the sustainment phase. You know, you're not necessarily building more wealth, but you're not like divesting to create legacy for your kids. You're just steady state. Yeah, steady state.
And I mean, we're making some moves financially that I am excited to share about, with some legacy building, generational wealth things that in time I want to explain. But I guess it's just, we're really focusing on what can we do to create this robust life and doing what makes us happy and finding our true purpose. Like, I really feel like I've had some really deep thought around, why am I here? What was I put on this earth to do?
Right.
Why were we so successful?
Yeah.
I mean, we achieved success in half the time of a lot of people. And I don't think that was unintentional. I think it was to give us the bandwidth to do more. Yeah. And I mean, we're in our early/mid 30s. But we have the opportunity to really relate to young people and to help craft a business that will transform lives.
Yeah.
And I know that's something you're realizing you're very passionate about also.
Yeah. Through some of the meditations that I've done and some of the rapid resolution therapies that I've done, I've really uncovered my purpose. And I mentioned it in the past 2 episodes, I think. The last one, definitely with Jim, we talked about it. That I used to be a teacher, and teaching is, you know, divulging information to someone else so that they learn the material. What they do with it is on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that really hit home with my purpose. I think my purpose is a lot deeper than that. And it is to give people an opportunity to transform.
Yeah.
And the best analogy I have for this is, I would take a caterpillar, and that is somebody that is living their average life. They are a caterpillar. The world is full of caterpillars. And I want to show them how to build a cocoon so that they can morph into a butterfly. And that is what my purpose is on this earth. And how can I do that in the state that we're headed? And the best, so it all really like seems so, what is that word that we hear a lot? Synchronous.
Yes.
There's another word for it.
Synchronicity.
There's another word for it that's really cool. I'll think of it later. But there's a reason why we bought the Helen property. We thought it was to generate income, but there's a bigger purpose to it. And it really synchronizes with my purpose. And that is to help people morph and to transform and to become what they were truly meant to become. And these cabins, I have this really, deep feeling that is going to be home to so many people becoming butterflies.
Yeah,
it really is. And it is going to be a place where I take people through this coaching program I'm starting, where when we get up there and we get into this 3-day retreat, they're going to come out someone completely different.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be like a scary thing that they're coming out someone different and they're like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. We're not doing drugs or anything up there. we're going to be doing really deep thinking. Yeah. And we're going to be doing some really challenging things to help them transform. And my goal is that when people think of our cabins, they don't think that it's some really cool cabin up in the mountains of North Georgia. They're going to say, that's where my life changed.
Right.
That's where I became who I am now.
Yeah.
And my goal is to take 7 people or 7 couples every quarter throughout the year up there to change.
Yeah.
And so my program is called the Dream Life Summit, and it's a 90-day program. And when people sign up, we go through, it'll be a quasi coaching program, quasi mastermind. We're all going to grow and meld together. And those 7 people or 7 couples, I'll do private coaching calls with them. On the off week, we will do our video call with the whole group where we can share wins, we can share losses, we can help each other. And then it'll all be wrapped up with a trip to our cabins where we will deep dive. Like, it's probably going to be a place where cell phones are off. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a place where you're really in touch with who you are and who you are going to become.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things you've uncovered is you don't necessarily want to teach real estate. No. There's so many great real estate teachers out there, and we've learned from them. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know that we could take what they've done and package it up any differently or any better.
No,
it's great out there. But I think we saw a big gap in a lot of the mindset stuff within real estate.
And there are great teachers out there on the mindset stuff within real estate. I feel like I really have the ability to touch it in a different way.
Right. Absolutely.
So
yeah,
that's the Dream Life Summit.
And I think your superpower that you don't always acknowledge is your ability to sense and feel things that people aren't saying. And you ask questions in a way that is sometimes shocking, of like, how did you even know to ask that question? But you really know how to pull out of people what they're thinking when they don't even know what they're thinking.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. That's my empath ability.
Yeah. I think it's the transformation we saw in the students from Dream Life University that we launched a year ago.
It was a year ago.
Yeah. A little bit over a year ago.
We had 5 students in the program.
Yeah.
And of those 5 students, they are all making just shattering changes in their life.
Yeah.
And, 2 of them have gone from aspiring real estate investors to
multiple deals.
They're not in the dugout putting their equipment on. They've already hit the ball and they're on their way to first base.
Yeah. Right.
And it's so fulfilling and rewarding to see someone experience that shift. And if you've listened to any of the podcasts before, you know that I had a huge shift when we first got started, when I read Rhinoceros Success. And I wrote on that silly little Post-it note, I will own 2 houses by the end of this year. And it just felt so impossible.
Yeah. What I'm excited to see is Dream Life was a 6-week program of just group coaching.
Yeah.
There was no one-on-one digging into someone's mindset and their specific situation and what's going on. And I think the beauty in this is going to be that focused time and the focused time in person, because we didn't have that in-person component.
Right.
So I think the transformation that we saw with Dream Life is going to be insanely magnified through what you're able to do in this program.
Right. And if you're interested in learning more about Dream Life Summit, you can head over to onpurposeinvestor.com and just go to the products page. Actually, no, it's the coaching page.
Yep.
And you can read all about it. And if you want to set up a discovery call with me to talk more about it, please just, sign up and select a time on the calendar.
Yeah. I'm excited to see you living out what you want to do instead of us trying to do something cohesive together.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to come in and teach an aspect of it.
Yep. Tiffany's going to come in and do some financial coaching.
Yep.
In the program. She'll do two sessions. One's going to be a group session and the other one's going to be a personalized financial deep dive.
Yep. So I just think each of us are going our own individual path, but also together is creating this environment where we're both going to thrive in our true purpose of why we're here.
Yeah. We've done so much hand in hand.
Yeah.
That I think we had to be
right
to get to where we are.
Right.
But now that we're at this moment, that's why we were so successful, so that we could get to this moment right now.
Right.
Because 28 people a year, it's my goal that 28 people or couples a year are transformed.
Yeah.
From all over the world. I want people to come into this program hungry and excited to change. And at the end of the 90 days, it's very exciting to see what they will become.
And it doesn't have to be real estate investors.
No.
If you know someone that's looking to make a big shift in their life and just what they want out of life, and they don't know what their dream life looks like, you're so good at pulling that out and helping them really uncover why do you do what you do day in and day out, and make the shifts towards better decisions to align with where you want to be. Absolutely.
So we talked about my thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your thing.
Absolutely.
And it's exciting. I don't understand it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a money person. I'm bad with money.
I know. That's why I do it.
So I'm going to do my best to ask you the best questions possible, but I don't know money.
That's fair.
I know how to spend it, baby.
I know that.
I don't know how to manage it.
So I, for the last 6 or so months, have been doing fractional CFO work and have found that I really enjoy it. And I enjoy it because it's a component of coaching, like therapy at times, and digging into finances. And it's kind of the sweet spot for me where I get to have true impact for people. And I don't know, I just really have been enjoying it and seeing the transformation in my clients' lives. So I've decided to start branching out of the company I'm doing it with and really building up my own practice and helping people, especially small business owners or real estate investors, understand their finances, because it is this nebulous thing. If you're on QuickBooks, it is the worst software for a business owner. It's made for accountants, and I'm very financially minded, and I get lost in there on the regular because it's so cumbersome. If you're using spreadsheets, that can get out of control fast. I mean, it doesn't matter what software you're using. If it gets confusing. I mean,
right.
And it's hard to keep track when you've got multiple projects going or, multiple bank accounts. And the system we use is Profit First. And I've gotten really good at helping people implement it so that you can log into your bank account and see how much money you have available for making decisions.
Right.
Whether it's a down payment on a house, hiring a new employee, paying your tax bill, you know how much you have set aside, and you've set aside money each month for paying your taxes. And I think for me, the biggest eye opener in our business was I created a pro forma. So like a budget of, okay, this is how much rent is. Let's say it's $2,000, and we need to set aside a certain amount for the mortgage and the taxes and insurance, and then reserves. So let's say we have $500 left.
Right.
That's not our cash flow.
Yeah.
Because there's the software for the tenant management. There's, I don't know, advertising on Facebook when we have a vacancy.
I mean, it goes all the way down to stamps for sending letters.
Right. There's so much that we expense, and we should be expensing. I'm not saying like we expense random things, but you driving up to the Helen property, every time you do that, we're expensing that mileage, and we should, but that number doesn't go into our rehab budget.
Right.
And if, the ongoing maintenance of that property, that number is not going to be accounted for in our numbers of what is our monthly take home. And it can be significant. And in the profit first world, we call that operating expense.
Yeah.
And if you're not controlling it for the size of your company, you can wind up in a spot where you're working your tail off to not make a whole lot of money.
Right.
And you're just going deal after deal after deal to try to make enough to cover your taxes or a big, turnover in a house and all the repairs that go with it. So I'm helping people find financial clarity. I've got one client that has a construction business and one rental, to a client he's got a med spa, food court. Like, it's insane the stuff this guy has going on. Oh, a travel nurse business and 10 rentals. So I've helped a wide range of clients, but it's great to see the transformation and the clarity that comes to someone that doesn't have a foundation in finance.
So you take a layman person like me when it comes to finances, and I bring you our portfolio. And I say, hey, I have enough money every month, but I also don't know what happens to a lot of it.
Yeah.
What kind of transformation are you providing your clients that come to you like that?
It's clarity. And we work from how much are they currently making? And that's how much can they take home? And then we look at where do they want to be? And if there's a significant gap there, then we determine down to how many mailers they need to be sending out. We go, okay, if you want to make an extra $5,000 a month, let's see how much you're making on average per rental or per flip, back into it. And we determine, okay, you need to do this many flips this year or buy this many rentals to reach your goal for this year and the 3-year goal. And
to do that, you have to up your mailers, or you have to up your cold calling,
right?
Or you have to make more offers.
Yeah.
Or that.
We focus on, we can't control how many flips they do, because I don't want them flipping a house for the sake of flipping a house. I want them to flip good deals, but we can focus on how many mailers they're doing or how many doors they're knocking on. So I'm coaching them to find those lead measures that they can really control. And we do expense cutting exercises. I had a client that was on, what's it called? REI Black Book, or one
REI Hub.
No, REI Hub is what we use.
Oh,
they were on, it's escaping me. It was not REI Black Book, but they were on a software for property management.
Yeah.
That was $600 a month.
Right.
And I talked to them and explained what we use, and how it's $100 a year. So that was significant cost cutting for them.
Yeah.
Just through, that was 15-minute conversation that we had in one of our calls.
Now, some of this comes from your experience and your knowledge, but also some of it comes from just having someone to run these things by.
Right.
Because they might bring up something to you that you're not aware of and you're not familiar with, but you have a long list of people that
absolutely
that know things that you may not know yet.
Yeah.
And so they're not only tapping into your knowledge and your brain, but they're tapping into your network of the things that you know.
Right. I mean, we recently did an energy tax credit thing.
Yep.
That saved us, I think it's $2,000 in taxes on a flip.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's a good chunk of what they would pay. So what if you could flip and not pay half the taxes or more? There's so many little things. And my goal is that the value I bring more than covers what people would pay me for my service. And I consistently do it. And I see it with my clients, whether it's cutting expenses or the peace of mind with having the clarity. And I mean, knowing, okay, this is how much we can spend on Christmas this year. And it's not, we're going into debt to do it. We're doing it safely.
Right.
And here's, we need to buy this many properties. Here's how much we can afford to put into them. And just really getting down to just pure clarity of what their finances are.
Right. So what do you say to the people listening to this episode that might be small-time investors that don't have a ton going on. They think they got a grasp on what they're doing financially.
Yeah.
What kind of value are you going to add to the small time investor?
Yeah. I mean, the client I have a call with tomorrow is small time. He, like I said, he has one rental and a little construction business that he swings the hammer on, and he's doing a great job, but I've helped him get clarity on opening up his bank accounts and setting him up so that as he adds rentals, he knows how to truly run the numbers to account for that operating expense and how much he can take home, and just giving him the clarity as he's scaling and growing, how much he can take from the construction business. He's doing turnkeys, so he's not doing out of town. So he's not doing any of the work on them, and he just needs a huge chunk of cash to throw at it. So helping him decide how much of the construction business needs to generate to get him the number of doors he wants, and basically what's the down payment. So we back into, from the big elephant, we back it down into like the one bite.
Right. Now, your goal in this whole program you're doing is not to be someone's financial advisor for all time, right?
I mean, if it's needed, yes. I mean, some of the larger businesses need that, but I personally have found a lot of joy in big transformations in the short term. So I'm also looking at doing a 90-day program.
Okay.
Because I think I know I can add a lot of value in 90 days. And then if there's interest to continue ongoing after, I would love to partner with someone that's interested in that, but that's not my goal. And my goal is not to charge an obscene amount for every month until you die.
Right.
Because business is expensive.
Yeah.
And I think the transformation happens in the beginning. And when you have a defined timeline that you're working with someone, you're focused. It's the Cheetah Agile. We talked about. She does 2-week sprints because you can only focus for so long. So the calls I do are going to be bi-weekly. So you're going to have a 2-week sprint to get what you need to done. And then we roll into the next phase. And I've seen so much transformation in these short bursts. But I also have clients that I've been with from the beginning, and I've seen a huge shift in mindset and completely change of direction in his business. That's really exciting to see too.
And that's something Tiffany offers that is unparalleled to anybody out there that's doing something similar. Is you provide not just financial, intuition onto them. You provide a coaching element,
right,
that is far beyond what a bookkeeper or a CFO would naturally bring.
Right.
You bring in forecasting models that are far reaching, not just into the business acts, but into your personal life, into your personal life acts.
Well, and we can go as complicated as someone wants to go. Yeah. My client with the med spas, they want to expand to add a second facility. So we're going to do some IRR, like internal rate of return forecasts, that are going to be pretty extensive and spreadsheet heavy, but it's going to be dumbed down in a way that he can present it to anyone in a simple manner. So it can be crazy complicated, but what I am really good at is distilling complicated things into something that's understandable for your average Eric.
Well, that's something that you were, fair enough. That is something that you did a lot in the corporate world, where you took a lot of analytic stuff and you built dashboards to make it comprehensible.
Right. To food service directors. I mean, they were fantastic people, great at what they did, but they did not have a finance bone, a lot of them. So it's communicating it in a way that's understandable and not complicated for the sake of being complicated to show you how smart I am. That doesn't help anyone.
Right.
But it's in the simplicity of, okay, I need to flip a house a month, and knowing I will reach my goal if I just flip a house a month. And I know it takes so many mailers to make that happen. So or I need to do so many calls. So let me get my team on doing this many calls.
And then by the next call, if there's no traction in that methodology that they're using, you'll shift.
Right.
You shift and say, well, flips aren't working right now. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And you help them discover the next move.
Right. And I mean, after my program's over, if there's an interest, we could do quarterly check-ins.
Yeah.
And just keep talking, once a quarter to make sure you're on target for the goals. But
right.
I have found my superpower is really in financial coaching.
Yeah.
And that's where I am happy. I know when I close my computer at the end of the day, like that's what makes me energized, is helping people and seeing the transformation.
Right.
From I don't know how to read my P&L to having something that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's simplified, and you can literally log into your bank account and see the financial health of your business.
Right. Well, people go to the doctor to get a checkup on their health. And, sometimes that can cause drastic changes in people's lives.
Right.
I got a delivery of news that I have high cholesterol, and that, further drove the stake in the ground of I've got to make big changes. But if someone had that in their financial health, to know that, oh yeah, I go around and talk about how I do 10 deals a month, but you're also very underwater and you're not profitable, and there's a reason why you have to keep doing it.
Right.
Getting that, that 1,000-foot view instead of the 30,000-foot view of your financials is what people need. They need that clarity so that they can be building a legacy,
right?
Instead of just, making a few million here and then blowing it all away.
Right. Well, and what I love about what I'm doing is there are ways to pay for the cost of my services,
right,
through knowing your numbers. And I know, like, if you were running our finances, you would have no clue where money was going.
No, we would probably do a discovery call, and I would show you my books, and you'd be like, okay, you need this. You're going to pay for it. Here's how you're paying for it. And I'm going to transform your business, and you're going to make 2x what you were before.
Right.
I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of our success, it was due to like tight financial controls and really paying attention to our financing.
Yeah.
I think that was key.
Yeah. And the opportunities that existed
Absolutely.
when we got started.
Absolutely.
The financial opportunities.
Yeah. But I think even if we were starting in this market, we would find something that works for us and our skill sets. And
absolutely.
It's really, I enjoyed doing it for us, but now we're at a point where it's like, I don't really have a lot I can do for us anymore. Right. So I want to help other people reach that next level.
Yeah.
Through managing their finances.
Absolutely. Well, that's pretty much the changing landscape of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we're very excited about it, if you can't tell.
Wow. Go watch YouTube to see what just happened. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was good. I was practicing my Tootie Ta.
Oh gosh. If you know the Tootie Ta song, it's rough.
It is a toddler song that should probably be banned from YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it is weird. Yeah. But that's what's going on in our personal and business, more so in the business life.
Right.
We're excited to share all of this with you. Next week, we're going to be coming at you with another episode where we're going to talk about the changing tides of the real estate market, and not necessarily what to expect out of the real estate market.
Wait, you don't have a crystal ball?
I don't have a crystal ball.
Dang.
I ordered it on Amazon, but
okay.
I think it was a lightning deal. I don't think I got it.
Oh, is it one that you touch it and the little lightning bolt hits your finger?
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
It'll tell you what's happening. But we're going to tell you, how can you protect yourself in a changing market, and how can you shift your personal vision of your business and your life to make sure you stay sane and financially secure throughout.
Yeah.
So that's coming to you next week. But until then, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week. We are immensely grateful for you joining us today. If you haven't already done so, we invite you to subscribe to our show. We understand that many of you tune in regularly, but perhaps haven't had the chance to hit that subscribe button yet. Don't worry, it's effortless. It takes about 3 seconds to follow or subscribe on your platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're enjoying the show. Your support is invaluable to us and has played a crucial role in the tremendous growth of our podcast. We sincerely appreciate your assistance in any way, shape, or form. Together, we can launch this podcast to even greater heights.